Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Deez. This is my workshop, and today it's going to be a real simple project. This was recommended to me by a friend of mine. He has a stand. It's basically a simple base plate of aluminum or steel, and then a vertical rod that will thread into the base plate. So the first thing I'm just going to use this chunk of aluminum that I practiced with. It's a good size. It's got some weight to it. I've already got this thing squared off very well. This was something I practiced with. But what I want to do is put a chamfer on the top edge of this base plate. I've got everything deburred real nicely, but I do think it could use a nice chamfer on the top, where just for aesthetics and functionality, I guess. But the bottom I'm going to leave completely square. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to put the chamfer on this. We'll find a particular rod that we want. We'll drill and tap a hole. We'll thread the end of the rod so that it can go in here vertically, and that's going to be the project. It's just going to be a flat base plate with a vertical rod where you can hook measurement tools to, anything with a clamp that will fit over a rod. And you can use it for inspection. You can use it for just workpiece holding, or any number of things. So that's going to be today's project. The first thing we're going to do is chamfer the edges of this flat plate. Let's get started. So we're going to use some parallels in order to mount this plate up, and I just want to come up close to near the top, and we're going to slide this in here, and we're just going to center it in the vise as best we can. Let me loosen that up. This is a chamfer bit, but I'm going to try to use this in order to mill a chamfer on the edges of these. So let's see, this should be 3/8. Let's get over here. I don't think you can see this, but I'm going to grab my collet, and of course it is 3/8. That's perfect. So we need to lift this thing up. Get that tightened up. Use my wrench. Use my hammer. And before I get too carried away, make sure our bit is in here. And we'll give her a final tweak. There we go. Like I said, I'm going to try to use this chamfer bit to just do a nice chamfer. I'd like to make a pretty heavy chamfer on the top edge of that, but that's going to be the first operation. So let's continue on. Make sure we wear our safety glasses. Hopefully this will work. And then we're going to touch off, and then we're just going to move on with it. So let's get started. Oh, I do want to use a little bit of oil, cutting fluid. I think that will help. Let's bring this over. Bring this down. There we go. It's good there. And touch off. I don't know if this will work or not. We'll see. I'm going to check, see if I like that chamfer. I think I'd like to take a little bit more, so I'm going to bring this in a little farther. Need to bring it down. This is a kind of a bad chamfering tool. I'm gonna bring it down a little bit farther, and that's where we're gonna let it live. One side done. Let's check and see how we're looking here. Make sure that chamfer feels good. It's got a little bit of a radius on the end because of the bit, but I kind of like that. I think I'm going to go with that for the rest of the piece. Yeah, I'm going to bring it down a little bit. I'm going to go one more pass. I don't like that. I'm going to actually bring it down a little bit farther. We're going to go across and we're going to try to clean that up. stand. This is going to be just a simple stand with a vertical rod that I can mount things to kind of help hold things with some alligator clips, or really just anything. I call it a third hand, or a stand to help, a helper stand to hold pieces, or just can be useful for a number of different things. I'm using this isn't a chamfer mill, it's a chamfer bit, but I thought I'm going to try that on this piece of aluminum. And you saw me cut around here. I really like this profile, but that bit is dull. It's kind of garbage, but it's rounded on the end. It's been resharpened. It was gifted to me by my dad. But I thought I'd go ahead. I want to use this because I'm still learning and messing around. I don't want to use my expensive carbide bits or anything yet. But it kind of tore through. I showed that earlier. Tore through this material. This is very, very rough. It's almost like it ripped the aluminum. So what I'm going to do is go back around this and see if I can clean it up. I did a test pass on the back. You can't see it, but it's a lot smoother. I'm going to go in just ever so slightly, and I'm just going to skim the edges to see if I can clean up this roughness. I got this thing at max RPM on my low pulley setting, so 1250, almost 1300 RPMs. So let me put this in about a thou. Like I said, I don't want to take too much. And let's see if we can skim just a little bit. There we go. And we're just going to take it really slow. You can almost hear it hitting the high spots where that roughness is. And then I can go back and use some emery cloth, or maybe some real fine sandpaper, fine grit sandpaper to clean it up further. Just taking it real slow. And then we'll turn this off and we'll evaluate it. Alright, now you can't see back there, but that's a lot better. I can clean that up better later with some fine grit sandpaper. So we're just going to make our way around and clean this up. Get in there. It's a little better, but I don't like it. I'm going to try to go back the opposite direction. We'll see if that does a little bit better. Probably should get rid of this chamfer bit. That's a lot better. A lot better. I'm gonna go back on this side. It just had some deep grooves. I'm gonna come back and take a little bit more off. This is a lot better. That's way better. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back around all this and clean this up so that that finish just looks a lot better. So I'm cleaning up these. I was moving too fast, I think, when I did my initial rough cuts, and it was ripping the aluminum more than it was cutting the aluminum. So I've really slowed down. I got a really nice enough finish on this end, and then so this is really close. I'm gonna go in another couple thou to clean this up, and then we'll clean this other edge up. A little bit more. Just take it slow. Much better. We got almost all of that out of there. It's good enough for what this is going to be. So now we're going to clean up this last edge, and it's pretty rough. Let's see how this came out. All right, I need to take a little more off, I think. We're close though. I'm gonna bring it back this way and then we'll see how it turned out. This one turned out really nice over here. Yeah, I think that made it worse. Yeah. So, all right, I'm gonna take one more pass back. I think that'll clean it up. All right, did we get it cleaned up that time? Yep, that looks really good. Really nice. All right, so learning things, got to take it slow. I'm going to check this side. I think it could use another pass. And I'm going to finish this up and get the mill cleaned up, and we'll move on to the next operation. Hey, welcome back, everybody. This particular project, I haven't been in a hurry to get it done. It's been a couple weeks. I've just left it in the mill, but I'm ready to knock it out because I want to get this part out of the mill vise so I can work on some other things. And the completion of this project is going to let me test the surface plate and some other things, even though this isn't going to be terribly precise or anything like that. It will give me the opportunity to test techniques and just get a rough estimate of some parts and things like that on the surface plate. This is the stand, as you're watching the video, so you already know that, but again, it's been a week for me. We're going to continue this on, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to adapt this plate so that I can attach two different rods to it. One of them is going to be a half inch rod that is roughly a foot in length. Let's measure that. Yeah, actually it's 16 inches. We're going to leave it at 16 inches, so a little over a foot and 4 inches. So we're going to leave it at the full length. This is not a terribly accurate, there's a little bit of a bend in it. It was an old reclaimed piece of steel from maybe an axle or something off of a toy or a garbage can or a wagon or something. But I'm going to use this. It's a half-inch piece of steel. We're going to thread one into 7/16 20, and I'm going to make a matching hole about an inch. I want the back side of this rod to be an inch in from the plate the base that it will mount to. So what we got to do is thread this 7/16 20, put a tap 7/16 20 depth in here. I'll probably make it, this base plate is about an inch thick. So I'll probably make it half-inch thread. Half-inch to 3/4. I'll probably make it a half-inch thread, but I'll turn this down so that there's a relief 3/4, and we'll be fine there. And then we'll thread this, tap this, thread this. And that will be the primary rod that I can mount something to. And again, this is going to be a universal stand where I can mount different things to. I may have to make custom bracketry or different things, but that's the idea. Then I'd like to adapt it to where it can hold a thinner piece of stock. I'm thinking 3/8 maybe. I think I'll do that later. I just want to finish this with this one rod. But there will be plenty of beef. The reason I only want to come in an inch off the back side of that, number one, is so you got some forward pressure on this base plate. But number two, now I can go in the center and actually mount maybe a smaller diameter rod for different applications. So that's what we're going to do today. Let's get started. drill and tap the base plate now that I've got my rod finished and created as far as the threaded end. I may have to turn down some of this in order to get it to sit flush on the base plate, but I'm going to try to thread in as far as I can with my tap. I'm not sure I can get it far enough. I don't want it to go all the way through. I might be okay. We're going to try it without taking any of that off. But if I need to, it's easy enough to do. What I want to do is have the back of this rod, as it sits in that base plate, 1 inch in. And I think that'll give enough forward stability and to hold the rod. I need to find, I'm going to bring in the center to 1 1/4 inches, and that way 1/4 inch will be back, making it 1 inch, and 1/4 will be on this side, and there's my 1.5 inch hole. So what I want to do now is find my centers on both, on the x-axis, and then we'll touch off on the y and come in 1 1/4 inches. X clear. And I don't know if I can make it. I'll call that y. That's pretty close. That's right, pretty close. I'm not going for 100% precision here. All right, now we'll half this. There we go. So that would be my Y, and we'll do half. So, bring this back, and we'll bring this to 0. That should be my center, if I did it right. Not too bad. All right, there's our setup. We've got our Jacobs chuck in there. We got our jobbered bit. It's a 25/64. We're going to pre-drill this. We're only going to go down enough. Let's see if we can measure this first. What we got here? $900 thou. This one, 650, 700 thou. So I'd like to go down 700 thou. I'm going to make it 750 thou. So I'm going to drill 750 thou, and then we're going to tap it, and then see if my threaded rod will go in there all the way. 750 thou depth. That gives 150 thou on the base where it's not protruding through. So we can go up as high as 800 and I'll still feel comfortable with it, but I'm going to start with 750 thou, and maybe I'll just do 800 to be safe. That way we can just get it done. 800 thou depth of cut. So we want to bring this over 1.25 inches, I said. So 1 inch, 250 thou. Again, I'm got my DRO going. Hopefully you can see it up here. 250. Right there. Lock these in. And we'll start there. And I'm going to use this DRO once I get it to touch off. And we'll go down 800 thou. There we go. Let's get this cleaned up. That drill bit, many of you may have seen my unboxing of these Chicago Latrobe bits. No comparison. These things are awesome. Went right through there like butter. Alright, I'm going to leave all this where it is, but now I want to get this drill bit out of here, and then we're going to do a chamfer, and then we're going to tap this. That's good enough. Now it's time to tap it. I'm not going to power tap this thing. I'm going to see how low this will go. I just want to get it started. I think what I'm going to do instead is just kind of get this down and start it. Let's get some drill hog in there. So I'm going to push this down, kind of get it started, and then I can switch over to my tap. I think that'll do. Get it started there. Let's get that tap out of there. Might be the bottom. Let's see. Let's clean the hole out anyway. So I got this cleaned up. One thing I'm going to do is put chamfers on the outside edges of this. It's still pretty sharp from where I put this large bevel. But I've got this out. I went ahead and tapped it a little bit deeper, as deep as I could go. I haven't blown it out or anything, but I did wipe off the chips. I've got my rod. I did end up, I know that this is going to need to be shorter, so I went ahead and took about 1/8 of an inch off, put a new bevel on that. Let's give this a shot and see if it fits in here, and then we can go ahead and put our 5 thou chamfer around the outside of this and keep going. We'll get this thing finished today. So if I screw this in, it goes all the way down. That's awesome. I'm kind of thinking I probably should put some flats in there so that I can loosen it if for some reason it gets too tight. But for now, there we go. Nice and solid. Plenty of height for, it's basically a surface gauge, homemade surface gauge, but You know, it's not going to be precision or anything like that. But I think we did pretty good. We have got, you know, an inch and a half on that side, roughly an inch and a half on this side. It's pretty centered. I should have about an inch to the back on this, and I do. Well, not quite. More like 7/8. That's fine. All right, let's take this out of here. The next thing I want to do is put a chamfer on this sharp edge all the way around. So let's get this out of here. Get set up for that operation. I'm trying to get all the operations done where I don't need to take this piece out anymore. So let's go ahead and get this started. We're just going to put a chamfer all the way around, and hopefully that takes care of any sharp edges on that. There we go. It's a 90-degree chamfer mill, by the way. 1/4 inch. Speed Tiger. Really well made end mill. I'll turn this off. Just do a test feel on that. Oh, that's beautiful. Feels great. All right, I think we have finished the base plate. It's chamfered all the way around. I do have a tiny little burr on some of these other parts from that rough chamfer bit I used in some of the other past clips, but I'm ready to take this out of here now. I have the hole drilled. We test fit our rod, and I'm ready to take this out, get it cleaned up, and continue on. I think we're pretty much done. There'll be some future changes to it, but let's get it out of the mill vise. This is the base plate that we've conjured up, and it's smooth. It's got a really nice chamfer on the sides from that chamfer mill. Really nice. But a couple of these upper lips, just a tiny little bit. So I'm just going to kiss it with the file. Just to take that off. Need a finer file. I might have one. One moment. I'm going to see if I got a finer file. This one's too rough. Yeah, this file's pretty fine. We're going to use this one. See if we can get a little better finish. That's kind of rough. There we go. That's all I want. Just a little, just to knock that burr edge off. I'll do that here too. Nice. Just a little bit. Looks good. There we go. The base is really smooth. I don't have any burrs there. we'll just hit them just in case, because I do plan on using this on my surface plate. Make sure there's no burrs on the bottom. Shouldn't be. There we go. That's pretty darn smooth. There's no protrusions. I may actually practice doing some lapping with this block as well. Maybe get a piece of glass or even use a surface plate and lap this base. But there is the base. I'm gonna go ahead and blow this out, and then let's test fit our rod. Be right back. So there we go. This is the base plate that I made. I can adapt it for a smaller diameter rod as well, put it towards the center, but this is what I was going for. This is not a precision instrument, but it is going to be a perpendicular tool holder of sorts for all kinds of different projects. So let's put this in here, make sure it still fits. Again, this rod isn't completely round. There's some issues with it, but that's okay. And that screws in there all the way down just fine. And there it is. It's stable. It holds shape. It holds up. It's very... I'm going to chalk that up to this table. Yeah. So there we go. I have got a stand that I can mount something to hold parts, alligator clips, just different pieces of different things. This is a 1/2 inch rod, so if I need to make a clamp, I can make sort of a clamp with a 1/2 inch hole, maybe use a slitting saw, which I don't have yet. I'd like a slitting saw, but if I had a slitting saw, I could always use a band saw. Cut a slit in let's say a sleeve, and then put a couple flats when I mill that out, and then I'm able to screw those together and clamp it down on the rod. And then the other side, let's say, would have a mechanism or a clamp or a way to mount an indicator, maybe a level indicator or a vertical indicator, some sort of dial indicator, or alligator clips, or anything that I need to use that I need to be stationary but hold some material or workpiece or an instrument. This should come in handy. It's nothing fancy. It's a very simple project, but this was inspired by, again, a friend of mine, Dave. I mentioned him earlier in this video. He made one of these. He's doing anodizing right now. This came in handy for him because it's able to hold his parts for, 45 minutes to an hour and a half, however long you're anodizing aluminum. So I thought that's a pretty cool project. I've got the materials, something I can make. I can use a mill. I can use a lathe. Great beginner project. So anyway, I'm going to close this video out here. It's going to end up probably running too long for what it is. Very simple project, but I hope you enjoy these simple projects. I know when I got started with the mill and the lathe, I was just trying to find ideas and inspiration for small projects, easy projects, things to help get me started and get me motivated to get out in the shop. Something I can think, hey, I can take care of that. And this is another one of those types of projects. So hopefully you find some inspiration and make one of these better. That'd be great. Otherwise, thanks for watching. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe, and I hope to see you on the next one.